Our legends this evening have statistics, photographs, television and newspaper coverage, as well as performances before hundreds and thousands of spectators over a period of time. They haven't been like some people who are like wheelbarrows and have to be pushed in order to get things done. Their performances and records represent the time commitment and work ethic which they had to make in order to achieve their success. Our legends provide role models and guidelines for success for each of us in our respective professions. Harrie Yandow graduated from Burlington High School in 1952. He was a participant on the Burlington High School varsity basketball team 2 years and baseball team 3 years. He continued his education at Johnson State College, where he received a BS in education in 1956. During his years at Johnson State, he was in the Dramatics Club 4 years, Student Council 3 years and President 1 of those years, Janus Newspaper 2 years, Newman Club 4 years, Searchlight Editor 2 years, Literary Editor 1 year, Delta Psi Omega Fraternity. He attended the Swampscott Conference and the Herald Tribune Conference 1 year. He accomplished all this while playing basketball 3 years and baseball 3 years. Harrie's teaching career started at Orleans High School from 1956 to 1958, where he taught social studies and coached varsity soccer, basketball, and baseball. 1958 was a year of service in the United States Army, and 1960 in the Vermont National Guard. He has been a member of the Waterbury American Legion since 1996. 1959 through 1965 found him at Waterbury High School, where he taught social studies, coached JV boys basketball, served as class advisor, and received the 1965 yearbook dedication. 1965 through 1994 brought Harrie to Harwood Union, where he taught social studies, coached the varsity golf team for 10 years, 4 years of girls' state championships, and girls' varsity basketball 12 years, with Division II state runner-up titles in 1978 and 1979. He was selected the 1983 Teacher of the Year. Harrie has served the Waterbury community as a Little League coach and umpire, volunteer fireman, Vice President of the Waterbury JCs, food shelf volunteer, and Vermont state official in basketball, baseball, and soccer. He has been a member of St. Andrew's Church since 1959, serving on the Finance Committee and as President of the Holy Cross Cemetery Commission. Harrie retired from Harwood Union in 1994. It gives me great pleasure to ask Harrie Yandow to please come forward.
Thank you. There. God, I made it, didn't I?
Before you start,
Uh-oh.
I need to take a look at this just to make sure that we're going to give you one.
That looks pretty good.
All right. We're going to take your picture there.
Oh, God.
Good job.
Dwight, thank you for those words. You read them just like I wrote them. Good evening. Thank you to everyone on this committee for thinking of me in this wonderful recognition. It's an honor for me to be here tonight and inductee of the 2018 Hall of Fame. I would like to recognize the amazing educators I worked alongside through my career. Some were short-term, some were long-term, but each and every one of them had an impact on me personally and my teaching. Thank you to the junior varsity coaches, assistant coaches, managers, who I had the enjoyment of coaching with. We worked well together to teach the fundamentals of the game and develop the skills necessary to achieve the individual and team goals while always having fun. To all the students and the athletes, I had the pleasure of teaching and coaching. Thank you for your openness, your enthusiasm, your determination, and your desire. You were the driving force behind the work, and I was proud to be a teacher and coach. Most importantly, thank you to my family. My wife Adele, for her love, support, and encouragement. Your dedication to attending all these school events and games set a record for itself. My daughter, who I had the pleasure of coaching for 3 years, and my 3 sons, who I did not coach, but they're always there to cheer us on. To the Harwood Hall of Fame Committee, thank you for bringing me on board. I will try to live up to the high standards and put forth by this fine group of dedicated members and award recipients. Thank you.
Stefan Casey was a 2002 graduate of Harwood Union. He was a member of the Harwood Union varsity ice hockey team 4 years, captain 1 year, and baseball team 3 years, captain 1 year. In Harwood baseball single season records, he ranks RBIs second, bases on balls second, triples second, sacrifices third, home runs third. Career records in baseball, RBIs third, bases on ball fourth, home runs third, wins as a pitcher seventh. He was a 2001 and 2002 Times Argus, excuse me, let me try that again. Times Argus, I think, is our newspaper. Times Argus first team selection, as well as 2001 and 2002 Capital All-Stars first team selection. His leadership ability, physical skills, and camaraderie led to his selection as a 2002 Harwood Union Outstanding Male Athlete. Clarkson University was the next stop in Stefan's pursuit of further education, as he received a BS in Mechanical Engineering with a minor in Mathematics in 2006. He was a walk-on to the Clarkson University baseball team, 4-year player, captain 1 year. This team was ranked in the top 50 Division III teams in the nation in 2003 and 2004. 2004 found him selected to the UCAA All-Academic Team. 2005 and 2006, the Liberty League All-Academic Team. And 2006, the Liberty League All-Star Honorable Mention Team. 2006 took Stefan to Varian Semiconductor Equipment Associates as a mechanical engineer. 2007 had him as a mechanical engineer at Knowles Atomic Laboratory and a member of the KAPL Advanced Engineering Program for Leadership Development. He moved to Applied Robotics Incorporated in 2011 as a mechanical engineer. While working there, he graduated from Union College in 2012 with an MS in mechanical engineering. They promoted him to engineering manager in 2013. 2014 brought promotion to vice president and director of engineering. As corporate vice president, he is actively involved with local school districts, elementary through college, and their STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics programs to build interest in technology and manufacturing-related fields. Stefan was selected for the class of 2018 by Albany Business Review's 40 Under 40, recognizing young leaders shaping the future of New York's Capital District. It is my pleasure to invite Stefan Casey to come forward.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to start by thanking Mr. Fiske and the rest of the Hall of Fame committee for this amazing honor to be recognized within the Harwood community. I also want to give congratulations to the other inductees being honored tonight. This induction really gave me a great opportunity to reflect on my time here at Harwood and realize what a profound impact it had on me and how much it influenced my life after graduation. I also realized that we tend to travel through life kind of thinking about what the next thing is going to be, what the next day is going to bring, and also what the next adventure is going to be. And we don't really take the time to reflect on how we got to that point and how we, or who, and what contributed to us getting to where we are today and standing in this very moment thinking about what tomorrow is going to be. So during this reflection, I realized there were really three core traits that I carry today that were developed on my time at Harwood. The first thing that Harwood Athletics taught me was commitment. Our hockey team used to practice at the stadium in Waitsfield, and during a whiteout snow blizzard, we would have to sit there and shovel off the entire rink while the other half of the hockey team would sit there and practice on the limited ice that was available for drills. Some of the coaches would call that strength training, but I think we were just free labor. Or other times later on when we had to travel to Northfield to practice almost every night of the week at Kreitzberg Arena, which was our home ice at the time, and find somehow to get our homework done and chores done for the next day. Then to have the commitment to wake up the next day and do it all over again. The second thing was my competitiveness and my drive. Competitiveness is what, our competition is what pushes us to do better, to be better, and to never give up. I played baseball during my time at Harwood and went on to play 4 years at Clarkson University, where I had the opportunity to play some of the best teams in Division III baseball. One thing that I love about baseball is the game is never over. It's not over until there are 3 outs in the last inning. One thing my dad would always pound into our heads is that the game isn't over until you're done. If you're 10 runs down, 2 outs in the last inning, there's still a chance. There's still a chance for you to come back and win that game. And that's stuck with me ever since. The last thing Harwood Athletics has taught me how to handle failure. And this is the biggest that I take with me. Failure is a part of life. It's part of every sport that you play. We all fail, both big and small, day in and day out. It's really a matter of how we handle that failure and how we move forward that sets us apart. It could be striking out at the end of a baseball game. It could be missing a wide open net in hockey, or even failing an exam in school. Harwood Athletics helped me rebound from failure, but more importantly, it helped me learn from my failures. I live every aspect of my life with this mentality, whether it's leading my team at work or coaching my kids. Failure is expected. If you're not failing, then you're simply just not trying hard enough. But we must learn from our failures, and we strive better and not repeat our failures. So my one piece of advice for everyone here is push yourself, push your children to let them fail. Don't shield them from the failure, and don't make decisions that is going to avoid failure. Let them meet it head on, and then be there to support them by helping them learn and move on and be a better and stronger person. Now, while I'm very grateful and honored for being up here, I couldn't have gotten here and accomplished anything in my life without the help and support of my family and friends. Unfortunately, my wife and kids couldn't make it tonight because my son had a football game this afternoon. And I believe it's very important that he carries on the passion and commitment that I had for athletics, and it will make him a better person at the end. But I'm extremely grateful and very fortunate to have an incredible wife who motivates me and supports me in everything that I do in life. I also have two amazing kids that demand the absolute best out of me every day. It's my wife and kids who continue to drive me, to make me a better father, a better husband, and a better person, and make that commitment to them every single day. I also have four amazing brothers that have always been there for me. Every one of them has taught me many things, influenced me in many ways, inspired me to be better every day, and I thank them for that. Lastly, my mom and dad have somehow managed to raise 5 boys, which, to be honest, makes my mom and every other mother that has raised all boys an absolute saint. When I look back on the many years of playing sports, I can't think of a single moment when neither one of them were not present, which is really amazing considering all 5 of us played sports. I'm not sure how they managed to pull it off, but I'm truly blessed that I always had them there in my corner. You two are the strongest couple I've ever met, and a role model to each and every one of us. You have motivated me, you've pushed me when I wanted to give up, but most of all, you've picked me up and dusted me off when I've fallen. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you. So with that, thank you very much to the Harwood faculty, coaches, for having such a positive impact on me, and thank you to my family and friends who have supported and guided me throughout the years. I love you all very much, and thank you for everything you've done and continue to do for me. Thank you.
Haylee Spittle graduated from Harwood Union in 2013. She was a member of the Harwood Union varsity field hockey team 4 years, captain 1 year, ice hockey team 4 years, captain 1 year, and softball team 4 years, captain 1 year. As a member of the field hockey team, she won Vermont Division II state championships in 2010, 11, and 12, and was selected to the 2012 First Team All-Conference team. Ice hockey brought 2010-11 Vermont State Division II runner-up honors and a 2012-13 Vermont State Division II championship. She was selected as a 2012-13 Senior Academic All-Star and participated in the Essex Rotary Girls Hockey All-Star game. Softball provided a 2010 Vermont State Division II runner-up experience and a 2013 First Team All-Conference selection. As an honor roll student 29 through 2013, she achieved the 2013 Harwood Union Scholar Athlete Award. Haylee received the 2013 Alchemist Opportunity Fund Scholarship as she pursued her interest in nursing career. She received her Associates of Science in Nursing in 2016 and BS in Nursing in 2017 at Castleton University. She played field hockey at Castleton University 4 years, captain 2 years, and selected NAC East Rookie of the Week while playing on the 2013 North Atlantic Conference Championship team. 2014, 15, and 16 seasons each brought selection as NAC East Player of the Week honors. 2016 brought team MVP recognition. Her field hockey career at Castleton University earned her a tie for 10th in career points scored and a 5th in career assists. Haylee was a 4-year recipient of the National Field Hockey Coaches Association National Academic Squad selection. During her busy schedule, she served as a 2014-2015 student orientation staff leader. Haylee is a state of Vermont registered nurse employed at the Gifford Medical Center in Randolph, Vermont. Along with regular nursing responsibilities, she serves as a charge nurse and preceptor for Norwich University senior practicum students. At this time, it gives me great pleasure to ask Haylee Spittle to come forward.
Okay. I would first like to start by congratulating my fellow inductees. Sorry, excuse me. It's an honor to be recognized here with you tonight, and I thank you for sharing this evening with me. Athletics has always played a large part in my life, and for that, I will be forever grateful. When I was younger, it may have only acted as a hobby and something that my brothers made look fun. But as I grew older, it became my passion and a necessity. As I look back now, as someone who doesn't have athletics as prominently in their life as once before, it continues to be proven how much of a necessity it really is. While athletics has given me many physical abilities, mentally, athletics will never leave me. It has provided me with endurance through challenging scenarios, passion within my workplace, promotion of career growth, and appreciation for each individual that has supported me every step of the way. The constant support and strength my family, friends, coaches, and teammates always gave me is the reason I'm standing in front of you today. At times like these, I feel it's nearly impossible to highlight all individuals deserving of thanks. However, I'd like to conclude with a thank you that I feel never goes far enough and deserves a specific highlight. My family has always been my biggest fans, but there are two individuals that take the cake. Sorry. My mom and dad are like no others. They have spent countless hours traveling to games and academic events and applied much strain on their vocal cords. In support of myself, I couldn't be more appreciative. It's because of them I always had the drive to get back up when I would fall, or believe that even in the toughest of times, things would get better. You two at times were my toughest coaches, but no doubt my biggest fans. You were never afraid to debrief a bad game, and certainly never afraid to tell everyone about a good one. I thank you both for all your support, because I wouldn't be here or earned half of my honors if it wasn't for you. Thank you.
Gary Kingsbury graduated from Waitsfield High School in the class of 1958. He was a member of the Waitsfield High School varsity soccer team 2 years, basketball team 3 years, co-captain 1 year, and baseball team 4 years, captain 1 year. He was a 1958 All-League selection in basketball and participated on Waitsfield's Vermont State Baseball runner-up teams in 1957 and 58. He was the recipient of the 1958 Norman C. Smith Outstanding Baseball Player Award at Waitsfield High School for highest batting average. This gentleman played baseball at Waitsfield and then went on to play at the Annapolis Naval Academy. He participated in chorus 4 years and one act play 1 year, and Gary went on to Johnson State College, where he received a BS in education in 1963. He later earned an MED in administration and planning from the University of Vermont in 1983. During his years at Johnson State College, he participated in soccer 4 years, captained 2 of those years, basketball 1 year, ski team 3 years, captained 2 years, and baseball 2 years. He was named the male athlete of the class of 1963 and was selected for the Johnson State Hall of Fame in 1984. Gary began his teaching career at Stowe High School, 1964 through 1969. And while at Stowe High School, he taught science. He was a graduation speaker while at Stowe High School. The 1970-1997 years brought him to Harwood Union as the Cooperative Vocational Education Coordinator. He coached baseball 9 years with 2 Vermont State runner-up teams and Vermont State Baseball Championship teams in 1976-77, 1977-78. He was selected Teacher of the Year 2 years and served as the graduation speaker on 2 occasions. 1994 through 1997 found Gary serving the Harwood community as the Associate Principal. He was the Waitsfield Town Moderator 2 years, member of the Jaycees of America, Harwood Boosters Club, Town Baseball Team 6 years, Waitsfield Alumni Association, and Waitsfield Board of Civil Authority 8 years. Membership in the Waitsfield United Church brought service on the Church Federated Committee, Capital Campaign Committee, and Waitsfield Couples Club. Gary retired from Harwood Union in 1997. With great pleasure, I ask Gary Kingsbury to come forward.
Oh dear, wow. Sure has been fun just to be here and see some of the old faces and reminisce some of the old times. It just takes me back. I hope I can remember many stories to share with you that we've had over the years. But first of all, I'd like to thank the committee for giving me this recognition. Now, I had quite a time putting my thoughts together about how I would start this speech. Usually they start with a word or two that means something. The first word that came to mind was humble. But then I looked that word up to see what it meant. And what it meant was thinking lowly of oneself. Well, I didn't go any further. So that wasn't perfect. Next word that came to mind was fortunate. Maybe. The next one was lucky. I don't think so. Deserving, I kind of like that one. Honored, okay. And thankful, oh yes, very thankful. Probably to describe me, it would be a little bit of all of those words. My entrance into athletics started in about 53 or 55. I played a very complicated game. At that time it was called bounce the ball off the garage door. And I did that on and off for hours. And while I was doing that, I was saying to myself, Frank Malzone fields the ground ball, and I'd throw it back at the door, and I'd come up and I'd catch a ball, and I'd throw it back, and I was constantly describing what was going on as I was developing myself into a professional athlete. Now, I had a lot of fun at that game, and you know what? I never lost at that game. Another game I used to play, you guys don't understand what I'm talking about. You all had diamonds to play on. I had a dirt road. When I was fielding those balls that came back to me, I was standing in the middle of Route 100. It was a dirt road then. And the other game that I would play was hitting with a stick, hitting a stones into the river. And I was great at that also, I must say. Eventually, as a 9th grader, I entered into the competitive world. It was during that time that competition didn't always mean winning. I always won at bounce back. I always won. But when I got into competition, I didn't always win. I knew that winning was more fun than losing, but I also learned that losing was always a risk. The important goal, which I eventually learned, was not whether I won or whether I lost. It was that I played. It's important to play, and don't be afraid of it. At this point, I might mention at this time, one of the things that I did while I was playing was we used to compete every Memorial Day and every Labor Day, and we used to win over Waterbury High School. What, didn't we win all those games? I have many people to thank for my successes, but there's 3 people that stand out, and they're all deceased. The first one I would like to mention was Bob Vail. A few of you know him. I know Dwight knows him. He was my high school principal, and he was the one who really got me going in the right direction, just convinced me that I needed to go on to school. I hadn't planned on that, but Bob convinced me to do that. The second one I would want to mention is Dr. Meinert, Walter Meinert. He was my soccer coach and confidant while I was at Johnson State College. And the third one is a man by the name of Morris LaRue. Now, Morris LaRue was an idol of mine. He lived down the road at the LaRue farm, which is now Flatbread. Morris was about 4 years older than I was. And in the fall of 1959, when it was time to go back to Springfield College, which I had enrolled in, I didn't do too well. I had a good time there, but I didn't do too well. So I wasn't going to go back to school or anything. But Morris picked me up at my house, not knowing what he was going to do, and drove me to Johnson. And before I left Johnson, I'd signed on the line to start there in about 3 weeks. And thank God he did. I don't know what would have happened. Now, perhaps one of the best achievements, as far as I'm concerned, in my career was coaching the Harwood baseball teams for 10 years. I noticed in the newspaper it didn't have anything about baseball, but I see it's on the bulletins up there. Those kids during those years, and some of them are right here, one of them's right there. We earned and learned a lot about being successful with our 2 state championships and 1 runner-up. We qualified for the tournament every year, but my first. And during that time, there's some really important stuff that we practiced. And it's really important that we remember these kinds of things, or I do try to. We always cherish the opportunity to play. We were never afraid of playing against anyone. We were never afraid of losing. We were always afraid of not playing. We always learned to respect our opponents, because if you don't respect your opponents and you get beat by a bum, what does that make you? Always respect your opponents. And we practice like we play. One of the things I see in baseball, which drives me crazy, is kids warming up before the game, and they're throwing the ball back to each other, and they're dropping it, and it's going over here and going over there. That's not it. I used to get after people when they were just being lazy about the toss. do it like the game is on the line when you practice. Hard work's always get your rewards. Put your failures behind you. If you strike out at the plate, don't throw the bat, don't run back and whine over striking out. Put it behind you. Also, another thing is to look good. When you go onto the field, look good. If you look good, you play good. And finally, bench players are always in the game. A lot of kids, they sit on the bench and they figure, oh, heck, I'm never going to get in the game. So always be involved, no matter what you're doing. We've got many fun memories of playing the game. I'd like to just share one with you, just to show sort of the fun we had in baseball during these years. These were the 77 or 78. Steve, you'll remember this story, I think. It had to do with a young man by the name of Jimmy Baird. Many of you may know Jimmy Baird. Now, Jimmy Baird was a sophomore, and he was a left-handed pitcher, and a pretty good pitcher. And we were in the playoffs. I think it was against Lemoyne. And Jimmy had done well for 4 innings. But in the 4th inning, he loaded the bases. So we're in trouble. So I had my big right-hander, which many of you know who he was, waiting in the lines, ready to go. So I went out to the mound where Jimmy was. And Jim was a real boisterous, fiery fella. So I put my hand out, and Jimmy says, "What?" I said, "Give me the ball, Jimmy." "What?" I said, "Give me the ball, Jimmy." So he sort of threw the ball at me and headed off towards the bench, took his glove and threw it at the bench, and sat there and he was just grumbling. So we go back to the game. My pitcher came up, warmed up. First pitch, threw it right over the catcher and the batter. Jimmy Baird down the end of the bench, he hollers, "Kingsbury, I could have done that." and I got many other stories. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I'd be remiss if I neglected to express my appreciation and gratitude to all my colleagues. I see old Dave LaPointe up there and this old guy here, and hopefully not that many of us left. My teammates that I had over the years, all of the athletes that I had, people like this guy right here, officials. I had some great arrangements, some wonderful people that were the officials for baseball and for many of the other sports that I had. For the parents of the kids and my family and the families of these kids for their constant support. My wife Lynn served as my sounding board and cheerleader when I was faced with many critical decisions affecting students and staff while I was a decision maker here at Harwood. That was a difficult time. Athletics over the years, starting from the bouncing of the ball up until now, taught me more about life than any other experience I can think of. From about 1953-55 to the present, I have participated in just about every sport which was available to me at the time. I played baseball in high school and college. I played basketball in high school and college, soccer in high school and college, skied in college only, and cross-country running. Interestingly, it just came to me. I ran as a freshman on a cross-country team at Springfield College. That was an undefeated team. But I didn't like it. I didn't do it after 1 year. And many unorganized sports like cross-country skiing. Martha, you can remember some of the trips we've taken, and Dave and Sue, and we used to take some long, miserable trips in the snow in the wintertime. I had many opportunities to meet new friends, whether they be teammates or opponents. Many of the opponents that I played with became lasting friends, interestingly. People like, those of you remember Don Jameson. Don Jameson was a coach of Richmond High School when we played in the state finals. And he remembered me when I came here applying for a job. The relationships and memories and challenges over the past 70, that's scary now, 70 years have enriched my life beyond measure. And finally, thank you to those I have played with or played against over the years. Thank you very much.
Chris Gendreau is a 1992 graduate of Harwood Union. He was a participant in a variety of activities during his high school career at Harwood Union. He played the bass guitar in the jazz band 1991 and 1992 and participated in the musicals Into the Woods and Annie. He was a student advocate to the Harwood Union School Board in 1992, indicating his ability to interact with individuals of multiple ages, philosophies, and backgrounds. He was selected for Boys State in 1991 and was elected governor by his fellow participants. Chris played varsity soccer 3 years, captain 2 years, ice hockey 4 years, captain 2 years, tennis 1 year, track and field 3 years. He was selected to the 1989 and 90 Vermont All-State soccer teams. Chris participated on the 1989 Vermont State Division II Track and Field Championship team, as well as the 1990 Vermont State Division II Boys Ice Hockey Championship team. His congenial, positive, and team attitude made him a welcome member for any group and activity. This, combined with his high level of physical skills, understanding of game concepts, appreciation and desire for good teamwork, and ability to make teammates better players, led to his selection as a 1992 Harwood Union Outstanding Male Athlete. Chris was an outstanding driver at Thunder Road, winning a number of races. His senior year, Chris entered the Vermont Carpentry Skills Olympics, sponsored by the Associated General Contractors of Vermont and Vocational Industrial Clubs of America. He placed second against students from Vermont Area Vocational Technical Center. Chris also received the 1992 Senior Service Award. He continues to play high-level ice hockey in the Men's League CSEHL. He has given back to the community through his coaching of Harwood Youth Hockey. After high school, Chris decided that he wanted to begin his own business rather than attend college. He is a gentleman farmer, but best known as a self-employed builder of 24 years with an excellent reputation as a carpenter and mechanic. It is a great pleasure for me to invite Chris Gendreau to come forward.
Upside down. Let's do that.
Carpenter?
Well, Gary used up all the words already, so he went through the list that I had kind of gone through in my head also, and what a great honor to be honored here along with the former Hall of Fame members that we went down and perused the hall, which I recommend all of you do to see the entire class, I guess we'll say. And this year, thank you everybody for sharing this time with me. I, like Gary, started reminiscing about a lot of things as soon as I was told that I was going to be honored in this way. And tried to figure out how I got started in athletics. Where did that come from? How do you get started? Who's the first person that kind of throws you in the pool, so to speak, which probably happened to me sometime along, because I grew up right next to the pool in Waterbury. And thinking through all of that, we moved to Waterbury when I was 11 months old. I have a feeling my parents knew what kind of handful I was going to be and needed some recreational area to plant themselves in, and they found right next to the pool in the village of Waterbury, which had hockey rink, tennis courts, basketball, skating in the winter time, and of course the pool in the summertime, which I was in most of the time, I would say. Probably a good babysitter for my mom. And I think I realized it wasn't swimming that I started, or hockey, or tennis, or any of those things. I think it all started with running. And probably my first experience with running was getting away from my mom. So I have her to thank for pushing me off into athletics. And then, of course, as I started to wander around the neighborhood more and more, I'd have to run away from all the bigger kids, too. So running was definitely in my future, and I knew that. And then I got to play all the time. It was wonderful. I do want to share one story with you, which probably I garnered the most from this specific moment, and it happened here at Harwood, and it was in the gymnasium during phys ed class. And I was taking, badminton we were playing that year, and there was this really old man, he was probably in his 40s, who was the phys ed teacher at the time, and he kept beating me playing badminton. And I could not, for the life of me, figure out how can I not beat this man? And it all came down to positioning. And I found that it's been that way in my entire life. If you position yourself properly to be ready for the next move, you can usually make the next move. And Mr. Fiske was always in the right position every time. It's quite impressive. So I'd like just to thank him for that moment of badminton and how it really is a life lesson. So everybody should go home and get a badminton set and learn something about life. Again, I'd like to thank everybody, especially my parents. My dad is no longer with us, unfortunately. He would be very happy to be here and be very proud of me, I'm sure. My mom, they were there, just like Haylee said. Best fans, always supportive. I don't remember a time that they missed an event either. It's pretty amazing. I'd like to thank all the parents that supported their kids and everybody here. Thank you very much.
Jason Murry graduated from Harwood Union in the class of 1988. He was a participant in varsity soccer 3 years, captain 1, basketball 3 years, captain 1, and baseball 1 year. He was a 1987 Capital League First Team Soccer selection, as well as a 1987 Vermont All-State Soccer selection. He was selected for the 1988 Twin State Soccer game and was a member of the 1987 Vermont State Division II Harwood Boys State Soccer team. Jason was selected to the 1987-88 Vermont All-State basketball team. He participated in the 1988 Alhambra basketball game and was a member of the 1987-88 Vermont State Division II Harwood Boys Basketball Championship team. He was a member of the 1985 and 1986 band. Jason continued his education at Johnson State College, receiving a BS in Health Science in 1992. While there, he played soccer 4 years and participated in the 1990 and 1991 NCAA Division III soccer tournament. He was selected to the Mayflower All-Conference soccer team in 1989, 90, 91, and 92, and the All-New England soccer team 1990, 1991, and 92. 1991 and 1992 brought All-American Division III Soccer Honorable Mention recognition. Jason was the recipient of the Richard E. Anderson Award for Outstanding Sportsmanship and Academic Achievement. In 2002, he was inducted into the Johnson State Hall of Fame. 1994 found him employed at IBM. In 2001, he ventured to Florida to become a teaching professional in golf and became a Class A Professional Golf Association member in 2009. Jason returned to Vermont in 2014 and is presently the Integrated Supply Chain Manager at Global Foundries in Essex, Vermont. It is with great pleasure that I ask Jason Murry to come forward.
It's the stairs, it's not the age.
Congratulations. We dance well, too.
We dance well.
I'll hang on to it.
Okay. Wow, what a great event. Just great to see so many old faces and actually meet some new ones this evening. So good evening to everybody. First and foremost, I want to thank the committee for this great honor. Really appreciate that. It means a lot to me. And obviously, congratulations to all the other inductees. I'm proud to be part of this group going into this Hall of Fame. I was sitting at home one night and I got a call. And I was like, who the heck is this? So I answer the phone. And as soon as they spoke, I was like, that's Mr. Fiske. And I thought maybe he was calling me to let me know that maybe Tor was coming up to visit or, something like that. And then he told me that I was inducted into the Hall of Fame. And it kind of took me back. I didn't even know how to respond, really. He did say that there would be a speech involved to keep it short and sweet. So I will do that because I don't want his famous whistle coming out. I don't know if all of you remember that. I certainly do. I want to thank everybody that's been involved in this event, from those who prepared the food, put all the tables together, etc. Although I must say I'm disappointed that the hurdle special was not on the menu. I don't know if any of you remember that, but I think it was on Fridays. I don't know if they still serve it here, but I remember Fridays I get on the bus and everyone's like, Jason, why are you so excited to go to school? I'm like, guys, the hurdle special's on the menu today. I was fortunate to actually be part of 2 championship teams in 1988, one soccer team and a basketball team. And when I say team, it was a team effort. There's never I in team, right? Soccer team, everyone had their spot, from the Adam Laners to the Sean Darbys to the Tor Fiskes. And we actually had a goalie that had never played soccer before. I don't know if you all remember Ken O'Brien. He didn't even play soccer. We were looking for a goalie, and we're like, hey, Ken, you want to play goalie? He's like, and if you know Ken, his personality, sure, I'll learn how to play. Well, that year, he was probably the best goalie in the state. He was amazing. That was a great team. The basketball team, however, I can't even put it into words how great that team was. For those of you that aren't familiar with that team, we literally had 7 guys on that team that played. I can remember my junior year, we didn't make the playoffs, but I think we won the last 6 or 7 games of the year. Coach Jesse Eagle was our coach that year. And I can remember we used to actually practice during the summer down at the pool that Chris mentioned. We would go down there and we'd practice our plays. We'd shoot free throws. it was just that dedication, that camaraderie that we had. It's almost like we knew we were going to win that year. So I don't know if you remember that game at the Burry Auditorium, but we went 21-2, I think, that year. And the teams that we lost to, we beat Montpelier in the semifinal. We had lost to them in the regular season. And Lamoille, obviously. That was the team we actually ended up beating. And I don't know if you remember that team, they were huge. They had Andrew Stevens was 6'8". They had a couple other guys that were huge. And they beat us actually one time during the regular season, and we beat them. So it was kind of that rubber match, right? So Eric Rich was on that team. And I can remember, I think in the second quarter, we were down by like 12 points. I think we weren't playing that great. But I remember Jesse called the timeout, and it was almost like we were just at the pool shooting hoops. It was like everybody was so calm, and we were having fun, right? There was no pressure, and that's what it's all about when you play sports, is having fun with your friends. And of course, we ended up coming back and winning that game by 2 points. And the free throws that we shot at the pool, well, Ken and I used to actually spend extra time shooting free throws. And I think I missed like 4 free throws in that game, so shame on me. But Ken got fouled at the end of that game. It was tied. He got fouled with like a second left. And there wasn't one person, I mean, I wanted him to be on the line, and that guy had like ice in his veins. And he stepped up there and just made both of them like he was just shooting free throws down at the pool. It was the coolest thing. So that was probably, I played on some really good teams. I played on some great teams in college, but that was probably by far the best team I've ever played on. Now, with those teams, there's support systems. From coaches, teammates obviously, teachers, guidance counselors, and all the parents. I can't tell you how close that our families were growing up, you know, during my high school years. It was just amazing to see. You really don't realize it until you actually are a parent. You don't know what that means to have, you know, you're just like going and you're shooting hoops, you're going to games. But the families were so close and so tight. I mean, I think I would spend every weekend at the Fiske's house. If I remember right, Tora and I were really close. The Sandorettos, the O'Briens. It was just amazing. Now when you reflect back on that, how special that was. And of course my family over here, my mom, Diane, my dad, Pat, my brother, Jeff, and my little guy, Jameson, and my lovely wife, Natasha. So I'd like to give them a round of applause because without that, I wouldn't be standing here. We're just, to me, when you reflect back, we're so fortunate, at least I am, I think everybody in this room is so fortunate to have grown up in this community, either at Waitsfield, Warren, Waterbury, but to go to this school, it instills so many great things. It built me as a person, the morals, the values, the integrity, the sportsmanship. And I carried those things on to Johnson, and I still do today. I have those traits in myself. And now it's really come full circle, right? It's time for me to be a parent, to be that support group for my little guy who's 5, who's playing t-ball. He just got into soccer. So it's now my turn to go to every game, to be that support person for him and my family, Natasha. So I'm looking forward to that. Can't wait to go to all the games and travel. So with that, thanks again for everybody for putting this event together and this great honor, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you so much.
At this time, we would like to unveil the permanent plaques for the 2018 inductees. They will join the previous 8 years of inductee plaques in the Hall of Fame trophy case in the gymnasium lobby. I would like to ask Haylee Spittle and Stefan Casey to come forward and unveil the plaques, please. Thank you as an audience, and drive safely going home.